To Diabetic 365. In this today's new episode, we have a type 1 diabetic mom. She is Tonya, and she is a mother to Charlotte, whose daughter is now almost 4 years old, and she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was 23 months. That's when she is 2 years old. Let's get started. Hi, Tonya.
Hi, Vijay.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, tell us, what was your first reaction as a mother when she was diagnosed with type 1?
Shock. Even though I'm kind of the one who, when we went to the pediatrician, I was saying I think she has diabetes, and I Googled all the symptoms, and for a couple weeks beforehand, I thought I was just being paranoid because I didn't see all the symptoms. I just saw the thirst and the urination. I mean, she was going through diapers like every hour. Mm-hmm. And that was, but then it said she would also have increased appetite and lose weight and be lethargic, and she wasn't at the time. So I thought I was just being paranoid, but I kind of tucked it away in the back of my mind. And then a couple weeks later, we'd been out of town, and she was just not herself and just started sleeping a lot, and that's when we got really worried because that's not her. So we took her in and had a blood test, and we've spent so much time at the hospital, I just came home, and then the pediatrician called me and said, you need to come back. She's her blood sugar is 699, and I said, is that bad? I mean, what's normal blood sugar? Who knows? Unless you have diabetes, you don't really know what the range is, you know?
Exactly.
So she said, you need to bring her back. We're going to put you in an ambulance. We're going to send you downtown to hospitals. So she's going to be in pediatric intensive care for 3 days, and you're going to learn all about diabetes. And I just went upstairs to pack my bag, and I went into my closet, and I called my mom. And she's a nurse, and she knew immediately what it meant when I said, Charlotte just got diagnosed with diabetes, and we're going in an ambulance right now. And I had a good cry, and then my mom said, okay, dry your tears and go downstairs and be strong for her. And we did. My husband and I went.
So tell us, what was your first week experience, and also tell us some of the resources that you think that were very useful for you in the first week, or, along the way, because it helps others.
In the first week, I wish I would have known about Facebook in the first week, and I wish I would have known about the DOC, or the Diabetes Online Community, because that has been the most helpful support group. It's been the most helpful, wonderful resource for information, for laughs. If I just am having a hard day and to get it off my chest to people that understand what I mean, they speak the same language. That was very helpful once I found it. That was about 6 months into our diagnosis. So for those first 6 months, I was kind of in a blur, emotionally, and I felt so isolated. I had been teaching high school, and I was a Spanish teacher, and I quit that day because I was the only one who could take care of. My husband works, and I had to take care of Charlotte. I know there's some people who can't quit work, and they have to just send their child off, and God bless them. That must be the most difficult thing. It's hard enough to figure it out for yourself, much less to teach somebody else how to do it when you barely know what you're doing yourself. So anyway, I quit work, and then I went from being with 200 people a day and all my students and my teacher friends that I love to being in my house by myself. And it's very isolating, and it's very scary. I mean, they send you home from the hospital after 3 days with 2 huge bags of stuff, and they say, clear out a cabinet in your kitchen, and this is your gear, and this is what you got to do. And it takes over your life for a while. And then I started coming out of the fog, and I found Facebook, and I found websites like yours, and websites like, there's so much help online. And I didn't know about that at first. So
was Charlotte resistant to insulin or shots at the beginning? How did you teach her, and how did you make her, insulin as a friend?
it's all she's ever known. You know, she doesn't even remember. And now we started her, she's going to be 5 this October. And right after her 4th birthday, we put her on she was on the Omnipod insulin pump. And just since in that short period of time, she doesn't remember shots anymore. She doesn't remember when we used to have to give her shots every single, so thank God that's like wiped out of her memory. She doesn't remember any of the diagnosis time in the hospital, you know, nothing. She wasn't even 2, you know. So the thing that we had with her to teach her about is just, you know, everybody's got something, and this is what you have, and this is something that we just have to take a little bit of extra care. We're trying to teach her how to count carbs. She's got her little pink calculator, and I mean, she doesn't even really know numbers yet. I mean, she knows how to count, but what they mean is something that'll come. But I'm teaching her how to plug in, you know, there's 20 for a piece of bread, so 20 in your calculator, plus, you know, 13 for a cup of milk. So you put in a 1, 3, and then equals, okay, you had 33 carbs for your, you know, whatever. But it's hard, and you know, it'll come as she's gets to understand what those numbers mean. It's hard to teach a kid that you need a fruit strip when you're under 70 if you don't really understand what under 70 means, you know, in the 60s, 50s, whatever. The other thing that we're trying to teach her is to tell us when she's low, because she couldn't do that up until about 6 months ago. And so every time she was low, I would say, Charlotte, this is what a low feels like, and this is what you need to tell somebody whenever you start feeling, she calls it shaky. And whenever you start feeling shaky, you need to, you know, I'm trying to teach her how to verbalize it, because, you know, she was barely talking when she was diagnosed, so it was kind of,
like you said that you taught her different methods to count carbs, and she doesn't know even the numbers yet, because you know, she's going to school next year. So like tell me, in a week. Tell us, like, what are different kind of you know, methods that you employ to teach her what is good, what is bad, how to count, what's not good for you, what's good for you, something like that.
Well,
we try to any creative ideas that you found?
We've tried to stay away from good and bad, you know, because I don't want her to feel like it's there's, you know, good and bad choices, but it's not really good and bad food or good and bad. Like I try to stay away from that. I know, like when we see her numbers on her meter, I don't want to say that's a good number and that's a bad number, because I don't want her to feel like it's her fault that she's bad or that she did something wrong. If it's a high number, I just kind of like, okay, you know, it's just information, and it's just a number we deal with, which is also something that I learned along the way. I mean, it's almost 3 years that she's had this, so, you know, you would have interviewed me a year ago, I might not have said the same thing. I mean, it's a progression, but we try to teach her that there's certain foods that have nutritional value and that are, you know, everything pretty much has carbs. Can she eat a cupcake? Yes. It's, you know, they're carbs that we can dose for and whatever, but the nutritional value of, you know, and we have lots of little stories. There's Berenstain Bears and Little Critter. There's little children's books that talk about good food and nutrition, and so she knows that she should try to eat, that the majority of her diet should be healthy foods, like fruits and vegetables and, you know, whole grains and milk and you know, all sorts of, and you can have a treat, but it's a treat on occasion. It's very, very seldom that she even asks for something, which is fortunate.
That's good. So what about, like, some parents are very kind of skeptical and very scared to give their children some time out, but how do you feel, you know, to leave her alone or go out and play or something like that?
I'm always there. You know, when we go somewhere, if we go to a birthday party, I'm there. I'm like the uninvited guest. I'm always with her. And we are going to start school in a week. So it'll be interesting. You know, maybe we should have another follow-up in a couple months, you and me, and I could tell you how that's going, because I really don't know. We had her 504 meeting. She's got a very great school. We're very excited about, the way they've got lots of type 1 experience, which is a relief. And, we'll just have to see how it goes. And I think I'm going to be there for the first little while until they tell me, okay, Tonya, you got to kind of stay home, let her go. But I want to kind of be there for the first little bit, just until everybody gets comfortable with her routine and until, I'm not going to hover. I'm just in the fringes.
And you're a teacher, as you said, you're a Spanish teacher before. And you know how the school system works. There are nurses there. There are, different teachers who can help you with your kid. But how confident are you as a mom to let your kid go to school without you, staying there?
EJ, I've been losing sleep about this since January. I had to fill out the enrollment application in January. So I have had, as if I don't get enough. I barely get sleep as it is because I'm up every 3 hours checking her anyway, but I've been having the weirdest, school dreams about, what's going to happen. And I think I'm confident in the adults. I think that the main thing is for me to feel comfortable that Charlotte feels comfortable enough to tell someone I feel shaky or I think I need to test, and to get some, because she's kind of shy, and so I worry about her speaking up, like advocating for herself and speaking up, and that'll come in time. But that's the thing I worry about in the beginning, is just until she gets comfortable with people, just, making sure that she knows that no one knows what's going on in her body except for her. So it's up to her to tell someone. And then I'm very confident that the school is on top of it, and that once they find out there's a problem, they'll handle it and everything will be fine.
Mm-hmm. The other question is one important thing that parents, when I interviewed, told them is the best way to teach your son or a kid is to take her to some kind of camp, so that they have a lot of diabetes kids around and they can learn from others. That's the best only method till now. They have found it really valuable. So did you employ any kind of that method to teach your kid?
We've thought about camp, since she's just 4, and, we haven't made it to a camp yet. I keep hearing about how wonderful it is. I think the thing that's more my speed is the the Friends for Life conference that's in Orlando every year. I think we might try to get to that one next summer, because I think that's just my own thing. I think I'd rather camp in a hotel than camp. I'm not a camper. But anyway, I know, but I of course, I'm being, tongue-in-cheek. I would do it. We'd go camping if that, I know that it's going to be a great thing for her. But I think we'd rather just maybe go and include a little Disney experience and go that route, the hotel route. Mm-hmm. So